For this video, we are going to be running through the Rogue character sheet and the rules for the Rogue character for our game, The Dungeon of the Beast. Ta-da! Hello gamers, Matthew here from Grey Army Gaming. What you see before you is the character sheet for the Rogue for our game, The Dungeon of the Beast. We're going to walk you through a few of the specifics for this character sheet and then show you how the character sheet actually plays once you get down on the board in gameplay. First off, let's look at some of the standard features up here. We have two avatars, one that we will keep on our character sheet so that we know which character sheet we're using, and one avatar that we will be able to place onto the board and to use when we walk through the dungeon. Now, if you look here up on the top, you see that the proficiency or the hit bonuses up here are 4, and then there's also a translucent one, a 5th one. Now, what this means is that the rogue will always have a hand-to-hand combat of hitting on a 1, 2, 3, or 4. However, if the rogue is using one of his special abilities, which is the stealth invisibility ability, then he will be able to attack and hit on a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. The rogue has no armor here, which means that the rogue is quite vulnerable to attacks, but at the same time, the rogue is able to move 6 spaces. So it is stealthy and it is quick, which means it won't have any protection from armor. And like all of our characters, the rogue has 6 hit points. He can take 6 wounds before he is killed. Over on the right here, we see the spaces in the solo game for the 12 gold, also the space for the jewel, and a space here for the torch that you find in each room. Now let's go down here and look at these 2 spaces here with these 6 translucent clear Lego pieces and these 6 brown pieces. Each of these have a special function with special rules. Let's start here with the 6 clear ones. These are called stealth tokens. Now, at the beginning of a round, the rogue can take one of these, use one of them, and what that means essentially is that the rogue goes invisible until his next turn. Now, if the rogue is invisible, he cannot be attacked by monsters because they can't see him. And when he attacks, he is given his bonus here on a bonus attack. So it's something like a sneak attack. He's able to attack out of his invisibility, which means his chances of connecting are much higher. So 6 tokens for invisibility. If you look here on the bottom now, you see these 6 brown Lego pieces. These are going to be hidden traps. Now, similar to other traps, if they are sprung, the monster loses its turn and it takes 1 point of damage. The difference with these, however, is that monsters are unable to see them. So the rogue player is able to lay down a trap in secret, and it is a hidden trap that the monsters then are going to set off without knowing it. Let's go ahead now and show you how some of these mechanics work in actual gameplay. So here is the setup for the first room of the dungeon. We have our rogue over here in the corner where the door is, and we rolled off for this setup with 2 monsters. We have 3 walls and 3 lava. So the first thing we're going to do when we take our first action as the rogue is we are going to move our 6 spaces, pick up that torch right there, and then set down a trap in an adjacent space to wherever we end up. That will be the end of my turn as the rogue, and now we go over to the monster's turn. Let's start with this guy. He can move up to 5 spaces, but he's going to come this way, not seeing the trap because it is hidden. He will hit the trap, taking 1 point of damage, and also meaning he will have to end his movement right there in that position. The second goblin now takes his turn and unable to move through here because it is blocked by his friend who has been stuck in an invisible trap. He is going to take the most aggressive route possible and move his movement this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That'll put him into base-to-base contact with me. But because he went through the lava, he will also take a point of damage. We can say for the sake of argument that that orc was able to connect and do 1 point of damage to me. Back to my turn. Now, I've got 2 guys on me. Each of them has only 1 hit point left. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to take 1 movement here and put down an invisible trap behind me. At this point, I'm also going to go invisible and try to move away. So I'm going to move the rest of my movement 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'll just stop over here by the door. Confused by what happened, the orcs are going to try to move to the space where I disappeared, which is the space right here. That's his first movement. This second guy will move through here, and he will set off the invisible trap. Remember, they do not see the trap, which means he takes 1 point of damage, which is his last wound, and so he will be taken out of the game along with that trap. It is the beginning of my turn as the rogue, so we will take off that stealth counter from on top of my head. And now I have my movement and action like normal. So I'm going to go ahead and move into base-to-base contact and attack that orc. Were I still stealthy and invisible, I'd be hitting on a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. But this is just regular combat because I'm no longer stealthy and invisible. So hitting on a 1 to 4. And that is a hit on a 1. The orc has light armor, so he will be saving on a 1. No, the orc takes 1 point of damage, which is his last wound. That was a pretty costly room for me. I lost 1 hit point, I spent 1 invisibility stealth token, and I used 2 traps. But I was able to clear that room and now move on to the next room of the dungeon. Well, there you have it, folks. A quick run through of the character sheet and the rules for the rogue character that we are using in our game, the Dungeon of the Beast. Thank you for joining us here today at Grey Army Gaming for the future of gaming.